If the Quran is a book revealed by God, the creator of the universe and the fashioner of mankind, why should it contain points that seem incompatible with scientific knowledge and the realities of the world? In continuation of our review of the criticisms raised regarding the conflict between the Quran and science, today we want to address one of the most significant of these, the alleged conflict between the Quran and the findings of biology. These instances are numerous, but in this session we will review the most important ones together to ultimately reach a fair and impartial judgment. Stay with us to see whether the Quran is in conflict with science or, on the contrary, if it amazes us with scientific truths. One of the criticisms leveled against the Quran is that it incorrectly describes the stages of embryonic growth. It is said that the Quran states the nutfa turns into Alaqah, meaning clotted blood, then into Mudghah, meaning chewed meat, then bones are formed, and finally the bones are covered with flesh. This description, according to critics, is inconsistent with modern embryology. But is this really the case? A significant part of this problem is resolved by returning to the precise meaning of the words. It is true that throughout history, many commentators and translators have translated Alaqah as blood clot. However, if we refer to linguistic sources without relying on popular interpretations, we see that the root of Alaqah originally means to cling, to belong, and to hang from something. This is why a leech is also called Alaqah in Arabic, because it clings to another creature and feeds on its blood. That old interpretation, blood clot, likely has its roots in traditional Greek medicine, which imagined that the embryo was formed from menstrual blood, and this notion influenced the understanding of the term. But when we pay attention to the original meaning of the word, the picture changes completely. The world's greatest anatomists have pointed out the striking resemblance of the human embryo to a leech, an embryo that from the very beginning clings to the wall of the mother's uterus and feeds from it. More interestingly, in another verse, the Quran describes the entire embryonic process with the term Alaqah, as if this word is not just a stage, but a lasting description of the embryo's nature. Regarding Mudghah, meaning chewed meat, there is also an interesting point. Modern embryological findings show that in the third week of growth, when the embryo is examined at microscopic dimensions, it has a remarkable resemblance to a piece of meat that appears to have had teeth set upon it. And concerning bones, it must be said that the Quran did not say the embryo turns into bones. Rather, it may be an allusion to the important scientific finding that skeletal structures begin developing before the surrounding muscular tissues are fully formed. Another verse of the Quran mentions formed and unformed, mukhallaka wa ghayra mukhallaka, referring to the gradual stages of formation that could point to this very process. Regarding the criticism that the Quran supposedly ignored the woman's role in the production of the seed, nutfa, it should be noted that the Quran speaks of ma'in dafiq, meaning gushing water, but nowhere does it say this water is only from the man. Muslim commentators have long believed that the zygote is formed from the combination of both the man and the woman. The expression nutfatin emshaj in the Quran, meaning a mixed drop, can be a precise reference to this point. Perhaps the most challenging criticism is the discussion of Sulb and Taraib. A verse in the Quran states that the fluid emerges from between the Sulb and Taraib. Traditionally, Sulb has been translated as the man's back, and Taraib as the woman's ribs/chest, which is not compatible with modern science. However, research into ancient linguistic sources shows that Sulb can mean the lowest part of the spine or the sacrum, the solid and central part of the body, and Taraib, which originally means symmetry and pairing, has been associated in some ancient sources with the triangular bones of the pubic area, which has been argued to align with modern scientific findings regarding the origin of reproductive cells. What is usually presented as a conflict between the Quran and science often follows a repetitive pattern. A specific interpretation of a verse is assumed to be certain, and then that interpretation is pitted against science, while multiple and more precise interpretations exist. Furthermore, as we have said before, the Quran does not fundamentally claim to state scientific facts or explain biological details. The Quran invites us to the knowledge of God and to pay attention to the one who created these wondrous stages. When we consider these nuances and move away from relying solely on popular interpretations, we not only see no conflict, but in many cases we encounter examples of the scientific miracles of the Quran that are truly astonishing. In the next session, we will examine one of the most challenging examples of this discussion. If you want to be notified of the release of these videos, follow the channel and activate the notification bell. Share your thoughts, criticisms, and questions with us in the comment section.